If you're like me, then you like taking long numbers and putting commas before every group of 3 digits. It just makes it easier to read. So I can say, for example, n equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. Let's get rid of the space there. And will this work in Python? And the answer is, as always, yes and no. Because it didn't give me an error. But what is the type of n? And the answer is it's a tuple. Because Python saw the commas as separating elements of a tuple. You don't need parentheses to create a tuple. And so it said, oh, you want to create a tuple of 4 different integers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. This is obviously not what I intended. So we can't use commas, but we can use another character. We can say 1 underscore 2, 3, 4 underscore 5, 6, 7 underscore 8, 9, 0. If I do this, the type of n is now int. We did get an integer. And this is how Python wants to encourage us to enter integers that have lots of digits so they'll be more readable. Now, there are a few rules for where you can put these underscores. You cannot put 2 in a row. That is illegal. You also cannot put it at the front of the string. I'm sorry, of the integer, because that will be interpreted as a variable name. Remember that underscores are totally legal in variable names, including as the first character, and digits are totally legal in variable names, assuming they are not the first character. So here Python looked for a variable called underscore 1, underscore 2, and so on and so forth, did not find that variable defined, and then it said, in fact, that variable is not defined. Okay, can I do this with a float? Yes, absolutely. I can say here n equals, let's just copy that, and I say dot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and sure enough, it doesn't matter at all, and we get that back and it's treated as a float. You can, if you want, put the underscores there as well, but like, are you really going to want to? That's a separate question. Well, this is very nice for getting integers into Python, but what if I now have my integer, and I'm just going to chop off the float part here. What if I have an integer and I want to now print it with the commas? So I can actually do that in f string. If I just print n, I get my number as before. That's no great shakes. But if I say n colon comma, then what it's going to do is it is going to display it with a comma before every group of 3 digits, and that works really nicely. If for whatever reason you don't want to get a comma, if you want to get an underscore instead, then you could say underscore, and then you get it out as Python expects to get it back in. So that works just fine as well. What if I have a float, right? What if I now say, n equals, say f equals that float? Can I print that as well using this? And the answer is yes, I can. Right, it works just fine. Notice that's only going to put the underscores, or the commas for that matter, before the digits, before the decimal point. Stuff after the decimal point, it won't. You can, of course, mix this together with other stuff. So you can say comma 0.02f, and then it will round to only 2 digits after the decimal point, and it will also show things with commas. That's pretty sweet as well. The thing is, what if you have this number in a string? What if I say s equals this thing? Can I just say int of s and get it as an integer? And the answer is no. And that's because this is an invalid integer literal. It contains commas, and you can't do that with an integer. You can only have digits. So what are we supposed to do? Well, I can say import locale, and locale is a module from the Python standard library that normally helps us with translations, but this is actually something it knows how to do well as well. And I can say here locale set locale, and I'm going to indicate I want to set all of my locale information. So this is going to be locale lc all, and I'm going to say I want to use enus, that is English as spoken in the United States, .utf slash -8. That means Unicode encoding of UTF-8. And if I set my locale to this, now I can say locale.atoi, meaning basically array to integer of s of my string, and I get it back, and I get it just fine. What if I have a float? Right, let's go back here and say I've got my float. Actually, I could just grab this, what we did before, and I can say now s equals this string. What if I now try, oops, let's try this. Let's actually put quotes there. What if I say locale a to I of s? It's going to blow up on me. And it's going to blow up because you can't turn this into an integer, and a to I is all about integers. What I have to use instead is a to f for a float, and then it works just fine. So if you are a fan of commas in numbers, this is how Python lets you do it for input, for output, from strings, from integers, all these different directions. I hope this helps. Let me know what questions you have. I would love to hear what other topics you want me to explore. I'll be back real soon with lots more about Python pandas and everything in between. Thanks for watching.